No. Oh, no. This article. Yes. This article. I actually haven't read it, but I saw it was getting passed around yesterday. This is an article from Paul Tassi, which dropped yesterday morning. New marathon information. Bungie morale launch worries and changing plans. Let's take a look at this article. By the way, can we make this the last week, Bungie? Everybody, we've had a lot of, I feel like so many videos this week have been on doomsday stuff. And here's the thing. It's not like Bungie didn't bring this upon themselves. I look across like the YouTube feed right now, especially on our own channel, and I'm like, damn, brother. Oh my God. Just one thing after another after another. Bungie, again, I established this the other day. Please tell me this will be the lowest of the low. Please tell me let this be down here. All right, and then we go this direction now, because man, the drama, dude, the drama. I swear to God, if this week, dude, if something comes out where it's like another artist comes out this week and it's like, yeah, my shit got stolen too. Done, man. We're done. All right. So new marathon information. Bungie morale launch worries and changing of plans from Paul Tassi right here. Chaos has engulfed Bungie after an artist, Anti-Real, came forward to accuse Bungie of ripping off her 2017 work as its upcoming extraction shooter marathon was starting to take shape as early as 2018. Bungie admitted to the plagiarism, supposedly the work of one ex-artist, and promised to make things right. But the story gained traction among gaming outlets and reaction streamers alike, and it's poisoned the previous positive conversation about the aesthetic of the game. We talked about this the other day. Like, say what you want, whether you like extraction shooters or not. A lot of people walked away going, you know, the aesthetic is at least unique, right? Dude, man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I wonder who the previous artist was. Blamed one ex-dev, but they all follow her, or where. That's the thing. Like, who is this ex-dev? But all of this is happening after another not great time period for Marathon the last few weeks, starting with the gameplay reveal and its closed alpha, both of which received mostly mixed and negative feedback. A live stream on Friday addressed both the art, plagiarism, and alpha feedback, and what ended up being the most uncomfortable on-camera offerings I have ever seen from the studio. Dude, the Vietnam flashbacks coming from Joe Cross, that entire stream. My man, whether you're against him or not, the man was going through it. You know what I'm saying? The fucking man was going through it, dude. And you know, in the corner of the room, they had Twitch chat pulled up, and the fact that he had to read for like an hour straight, plagiarism will make me God. Do you see those bags under his eyes? I would guess he didn't sleep. I would say that I bet Joe was probably up all night, because think about the timing of it. It would have been evening time for us whenever the news broke on Thursday. And so then Sony would have been waking up, and I would think that he was probably having to explain things to Sony overnight. But regardless, that was a very uncomfortable stream for a lot of reasons, on top of like other technical issues. Audio wasn't working, all that jazz. All right, so for Paul here, I've spoken to some current and former employees about Bungie's excuse for the art theft, studio morale, the possibility of a delay, and some very real changes when it comes to the upcoming presentation and playtesting of the game. Here's what I've learned. The public explanation for the art theft, one ex-employee taking things in 2020, is the same one being given internally at Bungie among the rank and file, which would make sense. You know, same story. Look, at this point, Bungie, just say, you know, I'm not saying we should do like, we should publicly shame this person, right? At the end of the day, it falls on Bungie. It falls on leadership. It falls on them to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen. I will say it's a difficult thing to tamp down on whenever you have hundreds of artists, right? I don't know, man. If I was Bungie, I'd just be like, it was Christopher Barrett. You know what I'm saying? And look, they're in a lawsuit right now, so of course you can, but it'd be like, I need to find someone to blame. It was Christopher Barrett. You know what I mean? I think this horse has been beaten into mush. It's about to get worse. Sony and Bungie legal are now sorting through this, and there is unlikely to be any much new information as all this continues to unfold. It is not clear how long an audit will take of the assets to remove or find any more plagiarism, as it is an expansive enough process to have Bungie not even show any footage at all in its recent live stream. I mean, look, dude, what if you do scrub everything that you think is safe, and then the game launches, and then you know what I mean? Then there's another piece, right? Morale is in free fall across all departments, and the vibes have never been worse. Everyone has the same concerns about what happens to Bungie as a studio of Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford. There are not even hints or jokes about a delay from September release date internally. Oh man, there are not even hints or jokes about a delay from the September release date internally. With that said, it is entirely possible, if not likely, those conversations are happening privately between higher-ups Sony and Bungie leadership. It's unclear what the plan is to launch the game in a now actively hostile environment just a few months from now, or how to turn that around. Some changes to future plans have been made even before this new plagiarism development, mainly as a reaction to gameplay footage and now the closed alpha. At the start of this month, Bungie pulled the plug on its main Marathon marketing plan, which was going to have a new trailer in June along with the launch of pre-orders. The whole campaign needs to be reworked now. A heavily marketed public beta in August may be changed into a roadmap of public playtests with no actual details set yet. This would align with Bungie's stated multiple opportunities to play before launch rather than just the upcoming beta. Marathon was originally pitched by higher up good old boy Bungie leadership, and as far back as 5 years ago, devs were telling them what would and wouldn't work and were often ignored. Many have said previously that it needed to have some sort of PvE components. It was originally pitched by higher up good old boy Bungie leadership. What or who is good old boys? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? We're just speculating at this point. Hell, you can go all the way to the root of it. Maybe the founder. You know what I mean? Who knows? All of this between necessary asset auditing, a reworked marketing campaign, a shifting playtest plans, screams of a game that is not coming out in 4 months, or at the very least shouldn't be, though there are no indicators of that yet. However, at this point, it may be the case that another 3, 6, 12 months would not fix what ails the game, which is more than just presentation and some playtesting. But for many, it's questionable core concept wrapped in an extremely cool aesthetic. But now, they've lost that last bit as praise point as well. All right, so do we think that Marathon's going to be delayed? That's really the question here. Should, yes. But do we think it's going to be delayed? It needs a delay. That's the other thing though, man. This delaying it change much? You can't delay it into 2026. I mean, I guess you could, but if you delay it to May 2026, now you're in GTA territory. Okay, so you bring that up. Delaying until 2026 would likely cause major issues internally. Tony, I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, dude. I will say before this art stuff, I was thinking like, okay, just worry about like really fleshing the game out from now until September, which is not a whole lot you could do to begin with, right? But we haven't seen the other maps, right? And you know, everything's really, there's a lot of pressure on the so-called Marathon map, right? A lot of pressure on that. Whatever roadmap Bungie has or had, or what they envisioned, if they're going to launch in September still, they need to just drop everything. I don't think there needs to be, I don't think there needs to be anything held back. I don't think there needs to be like, hey, because you're going to be in a situation like Suicide Squad all over, where it's like, great, you've got a year of content planned. Guess what? No one's going to be there 6 months from now to even play it. You know, all these other runners, other maps, get that shit out of there, man. You got to overwhelm players with the amount of content. And then you got to scrub, make sure nothing's plagiarized. I mean, that's a whole nother issue. The baseline approach, it's just, I don't think it's going to work, man. But here's the thing, dude. I really don't think there's anything we could say, I could say, that's going to change things, you know? This comment right here, where it says that, yeah, this room right here, Marathon was originally pitched by higher up good old boys Bungie leadership, and as far back as 5 years ago, devs were telling them what would and wouldn't work, and were often ignored. Many, I said previously, that it needed to have some sort of PvE component. Dude, this has been front and center. Bungie devs know this. Like, and this was so crazy. It's like Bungie devs themselves have even told leadership this. It needed to have some sort of PvE component. The whole like narrative too, like the fact that Skillup brought up in his review that there will be narrative structures in place, but there won't be like an actual narrative. Again, another component. And it's like, okay, all right, well, Cross, what about these other extraction shooters? Some of these extraction shooters don't have PvE components. They don't have a full-blown narrative. Great. Probably don't have the large amount of overhead that Bungie has. Secondly, aren't you trying to stand out? That would be a feature that would make you stand out a little bit. Just something to keep in mind. You know, with Arc Raiders and the already established IPs out there. Once again, the suits at Bungie think they know what's best for their games, and they're not the ones who actually develop it. I just feel like everything here with Marathon is screaming, how can we make an extraction shooter like under budget? And I know that's like, well, no shit, Cross. That's how you should develop every game. At some point, you just gotta turn the tap on full blast and just say, dude, do it. Cook, baby, cook. Final Shape might be looked at as like a failure in some of the higher ups at Bungie's eyes because of the player drop off. But the fact that Bungie completely opened up, came in full scented with Prismatic, full scented with us taking out the Witness the way we did, I like that they blew their load. And I think in this situation, they really need to blow their load. But the problem is there a load to even be blown? I don't know. A lot of pressure is on what is to come. And I just don't know if the extraction shooter player player base is going to be willing to go through the growing pains that the Destiny community has gone through with Destiny. All right, so let's start from the top. Best case scenario, Edge of Fate comes out, pops. Great, Destiny is back, baby. Marathon rolls out. Turns out, pretty good game. People are actually liking it. Reception is positive. We got a double win in 2025. All right, middle of the pack scenario. Edge of Fate rolls out. Pretty good. Nothing like crazy success, but pops nonetheless. Pops nonetheless. Marathon rolls out, not received good. Doesn't sell well. Not a Concord level failure, but a failure. Would then lead to mini layoffs, probably. Worst case scenario, Edge of Fate bombs. Marathon bombs. God, dude, that's it, dude. If that happens, that's it. That's a GG. What's the chance that the unreleased maps that we haven't seen has stolen art? Probably pretty high. Probably pretty high. I mean, the thing is like they were throwing the decals. There are a number of different decals all over the place. I mean, now you got to go through and be like, you got to go through everything. And then not only that, you got to go through everything and be like, and figure out what is and isn't original. And I mean, how do you even do that? I don't even know. Why are they removing the art? They could just buy it. Yeah, well, I mean, just reach out to the artists. The problem is when you have artists working for you, they'll bring in work and they'll say it's their own and then it's not theirs. You see where I'm coming from? Because, man, it's like, okay, you could put in the work and come in with something super creative, or you just go steal this guy's shit, or in Anti-Rose's case, her shit. And then pass it off as your own. And then there's the other side of things is like the artists, they need to sell it to, which most do. But I mean, like if they know they're selling it to Bungie, they're gonna definitely charge more. But that if it's gonna be used in a Bungie game, they should, and it should be purchased. I think Bungie wants more than just Destiny. Oh, no doubt. They want to be what they see from companies like Activision, Bethesda. They want to have a studio with this huge resume of games that are all, and they want to be the live service experts. And so they want to look at their catalog of all these different games. That's why they had Matter. That's why they had Destiny still. That's why they had Gummy Bears and Marathon. In an ideal world for Bungie, they have all these games that are all going at the same time and they're all funneling money in. They idolized what they saw with Blizzard, and they worked directly with Blizzard. It's understandable why they probably idolized them. They worked directly with Blizzard leading up to the launch of Destiny, from like raid creations and all that stuff. Bungie wants to have multiple IPs for sure. They ditched Halo to focus on Destiny. They don't want to ditch Destiny for a new IP. They don't want just one IP. They want multiple. But it's hard. It's not an easy thing to pull off. You know, it's hard to even just make one game, much less one game that's a generational success, and then trying to do that across multiple different genres. Jesus. The safer bet, in my opinion, and it would have just scored so much goodwill with your community, and there would have been overlap. I would have just said, I love your comment on this. Give Marathon the Doom approach. You could have relaunched that game, or, you know, perhaps even done a sequel, if you will, and just make it a badass single player experience, start to finish. And it would have been great. Your Marathon fans from the 90s would have loved it. Then whatever teams you had that worked on narrative, that worked on, cinematics, all those production things, that would have transferred over into Destiny 2. You could have had overlap there. No one told Bungie to make 4 fucking live services. I don't know who told. I mean, who thought that was a good idea? You can mix it up. You could try a couple things. I'm not necessarily for MOBAs, but like the MOBAs, that's something different. Bungie wanted to try that, fine. That's what Gummy Bears, right? Sony told them, no, brother. Nah, son. That's how they got bought out by Sony. You understand? Hey, Sony, you want to buy us? We can make Destiny, a lot more Destiny. And occasionally we might dip into some of our old IPs and make a single player game. Or how about you send something to Sony that says, hey, listen, Sony, we're making 4 live services over here. Yeah, they're cooking, man. They're cooking. You want us? You don't want us. Microsoft might want us. And I think Sony was like, we got to buy them. They got 4 live service games. That was like the big push. Look, obviously, like Sony, this is what they wanted. But I think this is what really pulled them into the deal. And look, let's not trust Sony on this either, dude. Someone at Sony thought Concord was going to hit. So much so that they have a secret level episode. Y'all realize how crazy that is? You know, the amount of funding and stuff that went into that? Wild. In Sony's ideal world, Concord popped off on the level of Marvel Rivals. It's a phenomenal game. It's thriving. The secret level episode was popping. And then at the same time, Naughty Dogs would have launched their Last of Us, their live service game. Marathon would have already been released. Gummy Bears would have already been released. Maybe Destiny Payback would, you know what I'm coming from? But obviously none of this has happened. Wait, we're getting a Last of Us Us live service. Yeah, there was a Last of Us live service game that Bungie themselves were overseeing, and I think they pretty much said that it wasn't going to be good to the point that it got canned. This is years ago. This is a while back, guys. It makes me wonder how bad it actually was. You know what I mean? If it was that bad that they canned that but didn't can Concord, brother. I'm not even gonna get into Sony and what they got going on. I think right now, those are your three scenarios for Bungie. Edge of Fate pops off. Marathon does well. Good. Things should be pretty good. Edge of Fate does okay, but Marathon absolutely bombs. I think the studio is still in danger. If both of those bomb, Edge of Fate and Marathon bomb, brother, it might be a GG's. The only thing that could possibly save any of this, and I don't even think that could save it, is if somehow, some fucking way, Destiny Rising ends up being the greatest game ever made. It's not gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen, but if somehow Destiny Rising ends up being the greatest fucking game ever made, and that $100 million fucking investment from damn near 10 years ago ends up saving Bungie, it's gonna blow my mind. Who knows though? Who knows? I wouldn't necessarily say I didn't think NetEase was like, you know, I didn't really know much about NetEase. Like, what else did NetEase have pre-Marvel Rivals? Naraka? Was it Naraka? Hey, yeah, like Once Human. Yeah, Once Human. Oh, you guys are saying Diablo Immortal. Gotcha. Okay, well, I put it to you like this. Marvel Rivals is what really made me pay attention to NetEase. Like, I guess I was kind of paying attention before, and not really. But then Marvel Rivals popped up, and it's like, oh, shit. Okay. You know what I mean? NetEase mostly makes mobile games. Right. You saw how well they did with Marvel Rivals. And I don't know. Maybe they might cook here with Destiny Rising. How many mobile games have you played? The only comparison I have to mobile games, guys, is Raid Shadow Legends. That's it. That's all I got. The modern iPhone is as powerful as a PS4. Yeah, I will say this, though. If it just comes out for mobile, I ain't playing that shit. No. We talk all this stuff about Destiny Rising. If it's still just on mobile devices and I got to play it on, the only way I can play it on PC is with an emulator. I don't give a damn. The point is, Bungie cannot depend on Destiny Rising to save them. Okay, Bungie's got to depend on Bungie. And I guess at some point we may sit down and make a video of like how we would fix Marathon. I've sat down and thought about it for I was actually talking to Luke the other day about this, and it was like, what a difficult thing, man, to get it to where we all would want it to be. And really, it just comes with, you know, I'm not going to say steal, but there's a lot of features you could steal directly from like Arc Raiders and just put it right there in Marathon, you know? It's not difficult, TBH. So Les, how would you fix Marathon? Ditch the class system, make it so we can fully customize our runner, and give us a list of abilities, with a list of abilities. So Destiny, that's what you're asking for, Les. Les, there's no way in shit they could do that in 4 months. You realize, Les, it's a good chance that was actually originally what Marathon was. And then it happened. Christopher Barrett got let go. Joe Ziegler came in. You see a lot of the Valorant inspirations from Joe there being implemented, and we have the class system. I did not say this could fix it in 4 months. They need to delay it. In this article, you show that there is a delay already between the lines. I would say August beta got canceled, and they want to introduce several playtests. So no way this is the roadmap to September. That's a good, yes, that's a great point in bringing up. Now that you're not even going to be able to pre-order next month, it's a good chance that things will get delayed. Okay, so say you delay Marathon to December. Well, now you're going to be competing against Destiny and Renegades. Bungie higher ups seem to believe that there's another player base out there that's going to play their fucking game other than Destiny players. Just like the most recent damn playtest. Who was playing the shit out of Marathon? Fucking Destiny players. So, you know, I don't know. Like, you got the player base. You got something to tap into. So you're already like all off to a better start than what Concord was. But if you drop at the same time as Renegade, wrong, Maddie, with your Marathon emblem next to your name, just tell me, is it the Marathon player base from the 90s that's going to carry this? Are you guys coming out strong, all like 15 of you? I saw Tarkov players. They tried it, and then they went back to fucking Tarkov. Why? Because those fuckers only like playing Tarkov. You're telling me that the Marathon player base, Bungie's going to dig deep. They're going to find folks played Marathon back in the 90s. By the way, PvE players, we're going to convince them to damn play Marathon now as an extraction shooter. Look, I'm telling you, man, Destiny players, you're gonna have your most overlap, and I would say majority of the people that are gonna play Marathon initially will be Destiny players. I will never touch an extraction shooter. Oh, there's some fun extraction shooters. No lie, straight up. They're not my go-to game type, but I do enjoy them. It's a great time playing Hunt Showdown. I enjoy Arc Raiders a lot too. I'm probably gonna play the piss out of Arc Raiders. Why aren't you playing them, Crawls? God forbid we have some of the best games drop on us here recently. I had Doom. I had Expedition 33. First up, Arc Raiders is not even playable right now. I can't even play it right now. God forbid we just had some generational games drop on us that I decided to play some other shit. Anyways, that's that, guys. We've yacked enough about this. And I say that knowing knowing damn well we shall talk about this again, probably same time tomorrow. Can Marathon be saved from now until September? I would say probably not. I think it might just put too much pressure on the team at this point, and I think morale is just extremely low. I actually felt like the stream on the day probably shouldn't have happened. Just to let you guys know, man, Bungie, I honestly would have opened up that stream. I would have had Joe Cross or someone, maybe Joe Ziegler, just someone just address the plagiarism and say, this is what happened. We're terribly sorry for this. We're going through right now, and we're essentially assessing everything in the game at the moment. We have nothing to share with you guys today. We fully respect other artists, and we definitely want to work with Anti-Bro, and then just have left it at that instead of trying to talk through that. And I get that they're trying right now, but man, dude, having you guys spam plagiarism will make me god for an hour straight was just, it had to have been the most uncomfortable stream I've ever seen. And so I would have just opened with that and closed it, and then that way maybe you could fix the mic issues, and then I would just go into this Vidoc style. You know what I mean? Yes, it's higher production costs, but go into it Vidoc style. When I say Vidoc style, the way Bungie used to do things in the past, right? Where it would be like these, wasn't live. You had a Q&A portion that was live after, but the Vidoc was just full of information. Here's the problem with Vidoc styles. If you don't have a lot of shit to share, then you got a fucking 60-second Vidoc. If you don't have a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to share, whereas live, you could talk a little more. You know what I mean? You could bullshit a little more. You talk about people's favorite runners. Vidoc style, kind of like how GGG rolls out their stuff. It's like, boom, here's this, here's that, here's this. Information overload. Well, if you don't got a lot of information to show, then you can't have a good Vidoc. But if you don't got a lot of information to show in a Vidoc, then you for sure don't have a lot of information to show in a fucking release. And if that's the case, you shouldn't release.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.